before she had children and all that kind of stuff. So let's get into the subject matter, if you don't mind. Sometimes it's not the negative part of ego, it's self-respect at its highest and wisest form. That's the name of the show today. We're 25 minutes in, so I am going to get it in and do what I got to do with the board. I have the board behind me. As y'all know, I love the board. And we'll be coming from the Pythagorean and the Chaldean system of numerology. Let me put that down first. We'll be coming from two systems, breaking down the word ego. And I've done this before. I had no problems doing this before, but we'll be coming from two different systems. So y'all can like and share this. If you want, you can like and share this if you want. And boom, we'll be coming from two different systems. We'll be coming from the Pythagorean and the Chaldean. We'll be coming from those two different systems live from the mathematical universe. Yes. But I might use this. Yeah, so as you know, if you've learned anything from me, Pythagorean is the modern day numerologist, which is connected to the Western Hemisphere and those of Greece and Roman descent. But it is the most popular of the two systems. Chaldean is a more older system from the melanated Chaldeans that lived off of the shores or off towards Mesopotamia. They was connected to those people of Samaria and Phoenician and all that kind of stuff. They have their own system of numerology also. So what I've learned, and I'm still learning over the years, is that when you deal with words, and somebody asked recently why I wear shades, because, some people, they don't trust people with shades, but these are what we call blue blockers, just in case. These are blue blockers so it can block the energy from the computers from my eyes. And thanks to KT, I got this from KT, the Arch Degree. Thanks to him and Dr. Shakira Moore with their eye products. Very good, been very helpful. But if you're born under a certain frequency, you have to protect your eyes. And I'm born under a certain frequency that has to protect my eyes. I'm born under the number 1 frequency according to the study of numerology and health. 1 rules the eyes and it rules circulation. So I have to be always mindful of my eyes, and it helps me to navigate better in this realm on how we understand ourselves and how we move. And getting back to the point, the word ego, and I've broken this down before, probably on IG, the word ego, as you can see on the board behind me, 5 in the Pythagorean system. In the 5 is consistent with each other. 7 and 3 and 6 and 7. 10 plus 5 equals 15. And of course, when you add the 12 and 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 equals 18, which is a 9. And this is a 6. So when because everything has a duality in a quote unquote in the known mysterious universe, everything has a duality. So the positive of the number 9 that the word ego adds up to. Oh, so I forgot something. Oh my goodness, where's that? Oh, okay. The positive of the number 9 in numerology is higher level of understanding, the ego, higher consciousness of the ego, higher awareness of the ego. But the negative of the number 9 is destruction through ego, pain through ego, hurt through ego, murder through ego, being obstructive through ego. So there's a duality in the word ego just by looking at the numbers itself. Now, when I go to the Chaldean system, it adds up to a number 6. And 6, the positive of the number 6 is being balanced through ego, being in harmony through ego, being conscientious through ego, the beauty of ego, being in harmony with your ego. The negative of the number 6, and I'd like to take that to a book. Where's that book that I talk about? I want to, there's a, and I'm not afraid to show and like people like Brother Panic and then we'll talk about, show your stuff sometime. Very good book. This one is called The Wisdom of the Sound and Numbers. Phoenician Phonetic Chaldean Numerology Reclaiming an Ancient Oracle by Leah Brooke Thompson. All right, so showing you the book that I have here. And I want to go to the number 6 for a reason in her book. And she says the negative of the number 6, controlling with the ego, compulsive with the ego, judgmental with the ego, too emotional with the ego, resentful with the ego, overprotective with the ego, narrow-minded with the ego, fanaticism with the ego, jealousy with the ego, too idealistic with the ego, condemning with the ego, critical of others with the ego. I hope y'all see where I'm going with this. I hope everybody understands where I'm going with this. I hope people understand where I'm going with this. Let's go into her book about the number 9. It's because she gives a lot of meanings, and I just didn't want to pick them out of my head anymore. So let me go to a book. Again, this book, very good book to have in your arsenal if you're a serious studier of numerology or getting into the Chaldean perspective also of numerology. The Wisdom of Sound and Number. I'm not afraid to share. That's what Bobby Hemmett taught us. That's what Phil Valentine taught us. That's what Brother Panic taught us. That's what Delbert Blair taught us. Being willing to research and study and apply it. Now, the negative of the number 9, getting back to it, with the ego. Selfishness with the ego. Fearful with the ego. Limited with the ego. Explosive with the ego, reckless with the ego, intolerant with the ego, pessimistic with the ego, greedy with the ego, depressed with an ego, aimless with your ego. The word ego adds up to a number 9 in the Pythagorean and a number 6 in the Chaldean. Just showing you how this stuff works. And there's a positive and there's a negative. So I don't claim ego as only negative. Somebody said, oh, he got an ego. To that person, that ego might be positive. To you, because you don't understand that that person is not probably being ego, but he is trying to preserve, or she is trying to preserve her self-respect. Because it's important in this realm to preserve your self-respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Does that mean that Aretha Franklin had an ego because she sang that song? Or was she trying to protect something? Because people in the industry around her life could be very disrespectful. So she wrote the song, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. That is what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Take care of me. Talk to me, suck it to me, suck it to me. She wrote it. So you got to protect your self-respect, both male and female. And guess what? The number 9 is a male number, And the number 6 is a female number. Go figure that out. So ego is a male and a female, a masculine and a feminine energy. I can't make this up. I can't make this up. So everybody that is male or female or connected to the masculine and feminine has an ego, whether it's positive or negative. Let me say that again for the people in the back of the universe, the mathematical universe, because it's about ma'at, it's about balance. It's about teaching the balance. That's why I changed it to, I use the mathematical universe, but from big up to my man Joshua, my brother Joshua Sarah, who showed us the mathematics. He calls his books mathematics. So from the mathematical universe, we have to understand the balance of ego. We have to understand the balance of ego. That's all I'm saying. That's really what it's all about for me. Because the positive of the number 6, I'm going to read it from her book, the book that I've been showing. The positive of it, the number 9 is forgiveness, compassion, ego, empathy, ego, inspired, ego, dramatic, ego, humanitarian, ego, accepting, ego, mystical, ego, selfless giving. It's all connected. The positive of the number 6, going back, and I'm going to read it from her book: friendship, ego, love, ego, creative self-expression, ego, cultured ego, broad-minded ego, balanced ego, creative stability, ego, sympathetic ego, humanitarian, like the number 9, ego, the number 6, moral ego, artistic ego, harmonious ego, nurturing ego. So ego has a duality from a mathematical perspective or a numerovational perspective. Remember, this is King Simon Presents the numerovational perspective. So we don't get it confused. We don't disrespect. We want to have self-respect and understand that in order for you to gain any self-respect, you have to use the positive, discerning part of your ego, because it's all about discernment. That's why there's a masculine and a feminine energy, because you have to be able to discern between the positive and the negative of ego. So there is a positive and there is a negative when it comes to ego. There is a high, there is a low. There is a constructive and there is a destructive part of ego, because ego allows us to get back up from the other realm and come back into this realm to go and do it again. Ego allows us to brush our teeth, wash our face, so we can present and wash our body, to present ourselves and get dressed, to present ourselves to the world or present ourselves in front of a camera. Ego, the positive portion of ego. And you have a negative. So remember, before you jump out the window and call anybody egotistical, it's not the negative part of the ego. It's self-respect at its highest and wisest form. So when people promote themselves because they love themselves, and let's go to the definition. Let me go to the definition of ego. I have it right here. Let me share screen. Let's go to the definition of ego. As you see here, the definition of ego is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. What is wrong with that? Now, when they overly do it,
Ego.
That's from the dictionary. So when they overly do it to the point that it becomes detrimental to other people, then it can become negative. Let me remove that. So ego is a positive thing. Then it goes on to say the psychoanalysis of the word ego, the part of the mind that meditates between the conscious and the unconscious, is responsible for realities, testing, and a sense of personal identity compared with ID and superego. Then it goes on from the philosophical part in metaphysics, a conscious thinking subject relating to ego again. So there's nothing wrong with the positive use of ego, family. There's nothing wrong with the positive use of the form of ego. Just use it. And because in the Pythagorean, the consistent letter is the E, the positive of the number 5 in a name represents versatility, adaptability, freedom, exploration, energetic, because that's what you're using your ego to do, all what I just said, being versatile, being adaptable. That's the first letter. It's the leading letter of the word ego. So ego can be used positively and negatively. Sometimes people can shut down their positive ego and go towards the negative ego, or don't show any ego at all. They're just to themselves. They just locked in. They don't believe. They don't want to do anything. They just shut it all down. And that is a negative form of their ego, because they're shutting it down to go and do what they do. You got some people that I've met throughout my journey that is homeless because their ego won't allow them to amalgamate themselves back into the community and dealing with their family and dealing with friends or relationship or their children anymore. There's homeless people that's doing this. And that's a negative form of their ego. And I'm not saying they got to be a part of society and be a part of the madness, but be a contributing factor of what they have learned in that homeless realm, so their children don't go down that road, because usually that same ego can go metaphysically to your child, pass on from generation to generation. That negative part of the ego and the positive part of the ego can be passed on from generation to generation. Thank you very much for showing love. Thank you. Yes, ego has its purpose. Use, not abuse. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. Although, like I said before, I'd rather the PayPal or the Cash App, but I thank you for the super chat. Because like I tell you, YouTube I probably won't, out of YouTube, I probably only get $2 from that $20. That's how deep it is. That's how deep it is. They take their percentage. They take high percentage. That's how YouTube is. So the first leading number is consistent in both systems of numerology, the Chaldean and the Pythagorean. And both of them basically mean the same way. It's just that Chaldea is a little bit more symbolism when it deals with the E. So when you look at the E, you got to look at the word and its symbol. It's more symbolic, where the letter E, and I wrote that in my book too, and I don't think she wrote this in her book. Did she write that in her book about the Chaldean perspective of numerology as far as letters? No, she did not. So I'm going to go to my book. No problem. Amarji Oni Twa. I don't know how to say your name. I don't want to butcher it. But so I don't want to butcher the name. But respectfully, that name has a vibration and it looks like a very powerful vibration. I can tell by looking at the name. But in my book, Numerovation for Mental Stability, I talk about the different letters in Chaldea and the different letters in the Pythagorean. In the Chaldean, the letters, and they're similar, but in the Chaldean perspective, from a basic perspective of sound and its connections to letter and number, the letter E deals with energetic, eager, helpful, humorous, adventurous. But the negative of the number E in the Chaldean perspective, from a basic perspective, deals with careless, restless, addictive, irresponsible, impulsive. I give a basic, but I tell you always to go and study more. That's why I give you a bibliography in the back of my book. There's always a bibliography in the back of my book so you can go and dig deep and study more and apply what you learn. Now, the letter G, big up to Dr. B. Serious because he was talking about the G before in his lectures. 7 and 3 is connected to the letter G. So in the Pythagorean system, and it's in my book, I give you the Pythagorean and the Chaldean meaning of letters, and it is a similar thing. They are similar, but like I said, the Chaldean deals with more symbolism, and the Pythagorean, it deals with sound also, but deals with more sound and the equated value. And both of them have their equations, but remember the Chaldean is the more older of the system from melanated people before Pythagoras went back after studying with everybody, according to the history from P. Manley and P. Manley Hall, from different older European esoteric teachers. Then he became the father of numbers and sound and mathematics and all that kind of stuff, connecting it to music, the universe to music and all that kind of stuff. So I don't take away from Pythagoras, I add on. You never take away from the elders, whether they're white, black, Indian, whatever, indigenous, whatever. You don't take away, add on. You can find discrepancy, you can find what you disagree with, but at the end of the day, that was the study of their time. They were, and that's what I loved about that. Tony Stark and him watching Tony Stark in one of the Iron Man, one of the Avengers, I think it was the Avengers movie, or one of the Iron Man movies, when what's his face, Samuel L. Jackson gave him a suitcase to go and research and study about his father. And his father in the cameras was doing all kinds of funny antics like Tony Stark, because you could tell where he get his comedic form from. In the camera, the father turns around and stops. He said, Tony. And he starts to relate to Tony Stark as he's talking, because he knew he was going to pass on one day. And he said, yo, what I created is for you. I'm paraphrasing. And he says, he was limited by the technology of his time. That's what Tony Stark's father said in the movie. And I got to go watch that movie because it was such a good, profound. That's when when Don Cheadle beat his ass and he was in the donut, and Samuel L. Jackson came down and said, excuse me, sir, can you come down from the donut, please? But it's a good movie because you got to study movies like what Phil Valentine taught us, like Bobby Hemmett taught us, like Panic, like KT the Arch Degree and other people that decode movies. You got to study movies and learn the science, not the fictitious part. Learn to study movies from the scientific part, because the science is to know. Science, it comes from the agnostics, the knowing, the knowledge. You got to learn. So when I watch movies, I don't just watch it for enjoyment. I watch it to learn, so I know that it can be applied to parts of my life. So I'm going to watch that movie. Matter of fact, after I get off of here, I need to reconnect to what was said. But he basically told Tony Stark through a video, an old reel, and said, yo, I'm limited at my time But by the time you get at a certain age, technology would be more advanced. And that's what I mean by I don't dismiss what Pythagorean taught. I don't dismiss what the Phoenicians taught. I don't dismiss what the melanated Chaldeans taught. I don't dismiss what any of them taught. I add on because I'm in a time of technology right now that I can spread this, where they had to walk from Greece to Rome and travel in caravans. They didn't have planes. They didn't have trains. They didn't have trucks. So we think, I'm gonna say that. So we think somebody has something. There's a book called The Technology of the Gods. If you ever get that book, that's a very powerful book. And I think do I have it here? Also, this guy's book is very good. Let me move this. This guy's book is very good. You know, I like to show information now. Y'all know me. This guy's book is good too. And I'm working on getting them on my show. This guy's book is very good too. When the World Was Black, The Untold History of World's First Civilizations. This is part 1 by Supreme Understanding. Very good book to have. You get a chance, get it. It's by Supreme Understanding, When the World Was Black, Volume 1. This is Volume 1, okay? Just want y'all to know. I like to put books up in front of y'all to show you. Also, another good book. Another good book is The Black Chaldeans. The Black Chaldeans is also a very good book. I emailed him. He didn't get back to me. I hope he's still alive. The Black Chaldeans, John Brinson. The Black Chaldeans. Another good book to have. Let me show y'all another book. One more book I will show you. Let me see. Another good book, The Glorious Age in Africa. Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. The story of 3 great African empires. Written by Daniel Chu and Elliot Skinner. Sound like Jewish men now. but it doesn't matter where it's coming from, as long as they get at least some of the history right. And then in the back, they always have a bibliography, or supposed to have a bibliography or recommended reading. But this is a good book also. I don't mind showing information. And if you appreciate me showing information, please put the number 1 in the chat. If you appreciate me showing information, put the number 1 in the chat. If you appreciate me showing, and of course I can't forget. Oh my goodness. Ooh, I almost forgot. Woo. 2 big books. 2 big books. This one is called The History of Africa, The Quest of Eternal Harmony. The Quest by Malefia Kate Asante. Malefia Asante. The History of Africa, The Quest for Eternal Harmony. And one more book by my great Baba that I brought to town in New York years ago before he transitioned. My Global Journeys in the Search of the African Presence by Runoko Rashidi. My brother Baba Runoko Rashidi. Very good books. And I show these books just so that you'll be willing. And in the book, they have their bibliographies in the book, or they have their footnotes in between or throughout. And he has pictures in his books. He has pictures. So just forgive me just showing what's important if you want to establish understanding about history and herstory. And again, we're still on point about sometimes it's not negative part of ego, it's self-respect at its highest and wisest form. And because it might be some people out there that say, "Oh, this Negro showing books and he's showing off." No, it's not showing off. I want to share. I'm sharing. You got people out there that really think the negative. And let me show y'all the word self-respect, right? Let me show y'all the word self-respect. I have it up here. Let me share a screen real quick before I finish about the importance of understanding what this self-respect thing is. And I didn't even break down the numbers of it yet, but it says self-respect. Self-respect is a form of self-love within a person's values, wherein a person values his or her own unique and unrepeatable approach to living life. It is having pride and confidence in yourself and behaving with grace, honor, and dignity. It is also about showing love to yourself through your actions, behaviors, and attitudes. Self-respect is based on an understanding and appreciation of the underlying character traits of one's true self. I like that. That sounded very good. If it sounded good, family, does it sound good? Put a number 1 in the chat if it sounds good. If it sounds good, put a number 1 in the chat. If it sounds good, put them on. And I would expect all of you to have self-respect and self-love. It's all right. Don't let anybody tell you that you got an ego when they don't understand the different nuances of the word ego, and that the vibration can be both positive and negative. That's why I say sometimes it's not the negative part of ego. It's self-respect, RESPECT, at its highest form. And then in turn, when you respect and have self-respect on its highest form, then you will attract those to you that also have self-respect on its highest form and willing to share the positive effect of the ego. Because like I broke down in the numbers aspect of ego, there's a positive and there's a negative of ego. And ego in the Pythagorean adds up to a number 9, and in the Chaldean adds up to a number 6. And each one of them have a high and a low, a constructive and an obstructive and destructive aspect of what we call the ego and its vibration connected to numbers. So on that point, family, on that note, if you ever get a chance, it's in my book about the different letters connected to words and all that kind of stuff. Numerovation for Mental Stability. You can get my books on Amazon, or you can go straight to my Linktree and get my books. That's Linktree/King Simon the Numerovator. That's Linktree/King Simon the Numerovator. Check it out. Get all of my books. All of my books are very important, and it shares a different aspect. And believe me, from the first book that I wrote to what I'm writing now and what I'm about to write, I keep on taking it higher and higher and higher, because I'm studying, because I'm allowing myself, like Dr. B. Sirius says, I am allowing myself to be that sponge. And then I rinse out that sponge into my books, into my material, into what I say to you on this podcast. I rinse out the sponge. And then I'm open for more information. Not totally dried yet, but I'm always open for more liquid information, more liquid knowledge, so I can rinse out the sponge and share it with you, whether in book form, whether in writing form, whether in speaking form. I'm rinsing. I'm always rinsing, because remember that old saying in the Bible about keeping that knowledge under a bushel basket. I do not like to keep knowledge under a bushel basket. Do not. I do not. I love to share. I love to share. I've shared the emotional parts of me. I've shared the negative parts of me, being in the club, being a womanizer, doing all the madness and all that kind of stuff, having sex in clubs, and, having parties and swing parties. I've done all that madness. It wasn't ritualistic. We wasn't doing all of that stuff. But I knew I was just having fun. And it's in my book. It's in my first book, No Promotion is Bad Promotion. I ain't afraid to tell people. And that's what I loved about one of the principles of Wendy Williams back in the day. She used to say, I tell my story to people so they can't use it against me. And if you go to the movie 8 Mile, if you watch the movie 8 Mile with Eminem, he did exactly what it is. He said, and he spit it right back at him, because they was keeping their own secrets, but he told his truth, and he blew the crowd away by telling his truth, and then he exposed their truths because they didn't tell their truths in their lyrics. They was puffing themselves up with a negative ego. But Eminem, from a positive perspective, used his negative parts of him to reveal to the audience, so the positive aspects and the positive respect came back to him because he was honest and he was truthful. That's what I got from the 8 Mile movie with my man, Mekhi Phifer, who I used to train martial arts with back in the day. Mekhi Phifer, I used to train martial arts. He was on the movie set. Myself and Brother Wayne used to show him some moves in martial arts on the movie set of Clockers when he first made his first appearance. Mekhi Phifer. Big up to him. Good brother. Man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Linda. Linda Taylor, big up to you. I do see it. I see what you're saying. Okay, you're from Harriet Tubman land. Big up to Harriet Tubman, of course. Big up to the great Harriet Tubman. So on that note, family, before you call somebody egotistical, know their walk and know where from what I'm trying to express to people. In order for you to call somebody egotistical, you have to know what was their walk. You have to have at least walked a mile in their shoes for them to even want to, like the definition of the word ego, for them to even want to be a person with a sense of self-esteem or self-importance. That's what it means. The psychoanalysis part of it is the part of the mind that meditates between the conscious and the unconscious and is responsible for reality testing the sense of personal identity. And then the philosophical part of ego is a conscious thinking subject. That's what they call it, a conscious thinking subject. But the primary noun of the word, a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance, and could be self-worth. So we got to be very careful when you call a celebrity who reached a certain status. You call somebody in your family that might have reached a certain status. Be very careful of how you use that word ego. Somebody's egotistical because what? They love themselves, or they care about themselves, or they find a self-wealth about themselves because nobody else is doing it for them, and nobody else. Because every time you repeat an affirmation to yourself about I am this and I am that, that is a form of the ego trying to build that other part of that positive part of the ego, because the lower part of the ego have led you down the road of not thinking high of yourself. So if the word ego means a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance, we say these affirmations to build our self-importance, our self-esteem. When I say, I am God, God am I am this, I am that, I am magnetic, I am positive, I am productive. The word ego, by definition means a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. So ask yourself, look yourself in the mother flipping mirror and ask yourself, do you have self-esteem? And is that wrong? Do you feel important? And is that wrong? Now, some people can go down to negative and be a whole ass. They're not just the asshole. They're the whole ass. There's some people that can do that by the things they've done over the years that keep on bringing out negative conclusions. Now you can see by their patterns and cycles and sequences that they're using a negative part of their ego. 9 and 6 have their negative. Both one is a masculine energy according to certain system of numerology. One is a feminine perspective according to another system of numerology. Both of them have their positive and negative. That's what I'm trying to convey to my audience today and those that watch it over and over again, because I'm going to leave this up anyway. All right. So on that note, family, thank you very much. And if you feel like I've meant that I said something of significance to you, please don't be afraid to share energy, circulate energy, and that's through PayPal /King Simon or Cash App $King Simon 3158. Share, because the more you circulate, the more it comes back, and vice versa. That's why I put out things that's supposed to circulate. That's how it works. Even if you're just listening, it's a circulation, because what I've said and what I do say on these airwaves, it circulates in your mind. It's helping your DNA to think another way. What's a part of your mental construct is thinking another way, because I'm using the mathematics also, the mathematics also. I'm using the numerical values of words. And like I said, it's in my book from a basic perspective, but I do guide you to to the other books that you can study more about words and languages connected to the numbers and how they relate, because they all have a significant meaning if you use it appropriately for yourself. So thank y'all very much for being a part of the journey. Thank you for being a great listener. And like Queen Afua wrote that book, we all have to develop the power of listening, which she calls impeccable listening. That's the name of her book, Impeccable Listening. Go look up the word, what impeccable means, and what the word listen. And even the word impeccable has a mathematical frequency, a mathematical frequency. And even the word listen has a frequency. So all of us have to learn to develop the power of listening and the power of discernment and the power of speaking after you've listened. Because a lot of this was in my mind, was in my thoughts first. That's why in the beginning is not the word. In the beginning is the thought. In the beginning is not the word. In the beginning is the thought. And then that thought is translated into the word, whether you speak in Arabic, Amharic, Hebrew, Cuneiform, whatever you speak, whatever language you say, Meduneter, Kiswahili, thought, then the utterance of word. That's the only disagreement I have with that part of the book of John where it says in the beginning was the word. No, the word was thought. The beginning was thought. Then the word was uttered. I know, right? Family, have a great day, afternoon, or evening. Do remember, I'm supposed to interview somebody tonight on my IG, but they haven't confirmed. Let me check my email real quick. And if she confirmed, beautiful. Okay. I'm supposed to interview Dr. Ma'at either on IG, and then I'll post it on my YouTube, because Dr. Ma'at is actually going to be speaking in Queens, New York on this day, Saturday, November the 18th. Big up to Brother Red Pill, who had a great event yesterday. Dr. Ma'at will be speaking with Anthony T. Browder on November the 18th in Queens. So if you get a chance, if you live in the New York City area, it's a free event, Simultap 36th annual luncheon. And then head on over to Nicholas for my brother, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, who will be speaking, Come, Let Us Deal with Them Wisely. understanding the assault on Black manhood and Black youth. That includes the female. So I'll be interviewing Brother Wesley on Tuesday. And we're going to be speaking about the new book that I got in the mail that I've been reading and on and off. Bob Marley and Michael Jackson, Analyzing the Assassination. Regicide. That's the name of it. Regicide or regicide. Regicide means to purposely assassinate a king. And Bob Marley was definitely the king of reggae, and Michael Jackson is definitely the king of pop. So this book is very important. Make sure you get that book at Wesley Muhammad's website and drwesleymuhammad.com and check him out. This Wednesday, myself and the beautiful Kerry Ann Ingram will be speaking with Dr. Sylvia Traymore Morrison, the first Black female impressionist in America and the first Black female writer on Saturday Night Live. We'll be speaking to her on Wednesday on the Healing Vibes program, And do remember, if you want to learn this for yourself, please, by all means, you could purchase the class. It's a 3 to 4 hour class. It's really 4 hours, but 3 hours is the class, 4 hours. The fourth hour is really the Q&A that I had with the people that participated in the class. But this is a recording. It's a recorded webinar. It's only $55. If you want to get an inkling of information on that, something like I just shared today, this particular recording, you can purchase, and you can purchase through PayPal at King Simon or Cash App at King Simon 3158. PayPal, and if you do send a circulation, please, by all means, do me a favor and put your email in the comment section or in the comment section of PayPal or Cash App, and then I will email you the link that will be yours for the rest of your life if you want to tune in and actually be a part and learn how to do this yourself. You can do it from your perspective. You can do it yourself, and if you need to contact me for an emergency, then you book a session with me. Because some people, even Lloyd Strayhorn says he finds it hard to read himself or break down his numbers. I don't find it hard at all. Not from my perspective. I don't find it hard. I learned because numerology is an objective and not a subjective thing, because we're looking at dualities. We're looking at polarities also. I can look at my name. Once I write it down, like I've done in the back of this book, I've written down my name in the back of this book. Can't see it, it's all highlighted, but I've written down my name in the back of this book, and I'm able to see what I need to do with the name, because I know I'm looking at it as a client and I'm not looking at it as myself. So once I look at it from an objective perspective, from my clients, like a client's perspective, then I'm able to break down what King Simon needs or what my full name needs from my perspective, because I'm looking at where I'm at. It gives me a bird's eye view of what I need to do, how I need to tweak certain things with my life and all that kind of stuff. That's what my book and other books do. But when you take a class and be willing to learn for yourself and apply it to yourself, beautiful. And then if you want to take the 8-hour course, the 8-hour course is also a very good course. 8 hours. Holistic numerovation. I even get into the bath method, the importance of looking beyond, looking around, seeing the trajectory of the number and hearing the numbers. I look at all of those aspects in this particular one. I don't do it in this one. But I definitely do it in the 8-hour breakdown of the numbers, holistic numerovation course. All right. And do remember, on the 19th, I'll be interviewing 3 beautiful ladies from this podcast. Your mama said what? That's the name of the podcast. Pearls of Wisdom, raw and polished. Your mama said, what? Your mama said, knock me out. So I'm going to have Jalen, V, and Sass, these three beautiful sisters that's going to come on and tell us about their new podcast and what they want to get from it and why they name it Your Mama Said What, and how important it is of pearls of wisdom to be represented or presented in a raw and polished form. So these sisters will be coming on with me on the 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And do remember, support my dear co-host, Carrie Ann Ingram, at her website, carrieanningram.com, and Linktree at carrieanningram.com. All right. If y'all can support Carrie Ann Ingram, I'm talking to everybody out there. If you support carrieanningram.com or Carrie Ann Ingram, buy any of her products, take her services, whatever you do, I personally will send you a copy of my book. If you spend at least $50 or more with Carrie Ann Ingram on her website, and you can show me the receipt and show me what you purchased, and she can identify that and testify to that, I personally will send you one of my books. Whatever one you want. You want Numerovation, you want the No Promotion, Bad Promotion, no, Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated, or Numbers Are Simple, Children's Health. I personally will send you a book. I will pay for it through Amazon and send it to you if you support Carrie Ann Ingram's site by purchasing a product from her. Go through her Linktree, go to her site, purchasing a service. She does energy work. She does tarot advisory consultant. I will send you a book for free. That's my word. That's my word, because I want my sister to grow just like I want any of you to grow. I will do that. But you got to text me or DM me that you did a screenshot that you did purchase something from her site, that you did, and she has to tell me also that you did. All right. So I want to make sure we're not playing games with each other. I want to make sure that you circulate. She lives in Canada, so you're circulating Canadian money. Well, it's going to translate. If you're doing PayPal or what, it's going to translate to Canadian money, whatever. But you have to support her at her website, because I want to see her grow, and I want to see, and please support her YouTube channel also, because it is growing, and I want to make sure we show her that respect just by being a team member of mine right here on King Simon Presents. I support my teams. I'm a team player. Although we practice individuality, I work interdependent, and she gave me some great ideals last night, and I definitely want to respect her because she is a marketing master. You could even consult her about marketing your products and all that. She is a marketing master of high caliber. A lot of people don't know it. It's just that she's taken a step back to understand her journey in life. But if you want to book a session as a marketing to market her greatness, I'll show you how to market your greatness in the field of health and well-being or business. She's one of those people from out of Canada that she got it. She got it on lock. Believe me when I say this, because that's why you're seeing my channel starting to grow, because I'm listening to what she says, and I'm picking up, and I want her to be honored and respected for what she does, because she's a certified spiritual energy healer, guide, tarot advisor. She makes her own jewelry pieces. She consults. She's good at what she does. Also, this man, without a doubt, is my brother, who is also good at what he does. You know, always good at what he does. Make sure you show Lloyd Strayhorn some love and respect. Lloyd Strayhorn is my Baba. He's my teacher. One of my teachers, I got to say one of them because I have so many. And he was the one that got me over the hump of going fully towards studying this metaphysics science called numerology, esoteric science of numerology. This man right here. All right. So make sure y'all show him some love, some respect. Big up to Nicholas. Today will be the last time I'm advertising Nicholas, not because of anything. It's just I'm about to change up a lot here. And but make sure y'all support them at all costs. Myself and Carrie Ann has decided to stay focused, and we got to focus on our business and what we have to do to make this channel grow to be what we call King Simon Presents only quality people. I don't have 1 million people because I'm not looking for the vagabonds and the crazies. King Simon wants only quality people, not knuckleheads and mad people. Trolls. I don't like trolls. As soon as I see trolling, I delete you. The word trolling adds up to 44 on the negative is a mental health number. So if you're trolling people because you don't like what they said or don't like it, that's mental health. Communication problems and issues. That's you. It's not my business. I don't care about the trolls. I respect you as a human being, but if you're going to troll me to negatively say this and say that about this, and I ain't got no time for y'all. I really don't. I keep it moving. Believe me. And if you do want to advertise as we're rebuilding, you can contact Carrie Ann at carrieanningram.com first, and then try to hit me up at ksptvmedia@gmail. Okay? You can do that if you want to advertise, as we will be doing some main advertisement coming up. Again, you can buy all my books at Linktree/King Simon the Numerovator. You can take, of course, get the holistic numerovation course. You can also book a session with me at 347-496-1022 if you live outside of the United States of America. That means if you live in Canada, if you live in England, if you live in the Caribbean, if you live in any place outside of the United States that does not recognize as not a recognizable territory to the United States, use WhatsApp or use Signal. That's another app similar to WhatsApp. You could use WhatsApp or use Signal. 1-347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. Accept what is, have faith in what will be. Accept what is, let go of what was, and have faith in what will be. Dr. B. Series says, I forgive myself, my family, and others for imperfection. And I am thankful for my life. Dr. Blair used to say, please, universal creator, know in my heart that I love you. Please protect me and this planet on which I live now. Please open my mind, my spirit, and my soul to receive only truth in your love now. Thank you, family, for being a part of the mathematical universe. I'll be coming back on probably with Dr. Ma'at if she responds to me. I don't know what's going on. I hope she's all right. I'll try to call her and make sure she's all right. But remember, family, it's all about that mathematical universe and how you apply it, how you use it to be your best self. All right? So take care, be strong, be focused, and be your numerovational self on its most highest and wisest level. One love. Content disclaimer. The views, comments, and opinions expressed by guest speakers or authors on this YouTube channel do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by this channel's broadcasters and its sponsors. Parental guidance is advised. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teachers, scholarship, education, and research. For fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed. It's about guiding people. The only way you can make the world better is if you make the people better. It's about showing them the light of hope in themselves and their family. Everything in this universe is all about synchronicity.
Numbers are simple, people are complicated. Numerovator from the king, learn the foundation from the king. choice. 3 plus 2 is 5. Guard your mind. Me plus you is mathematician. Learn from the one numerovator. Numbers are simple. People are complicated. Me innovation from a key. Me inside from the key. And I bullshit. Numbers are simple. People are complicated. Numerovision from a key. Me foundation from the key.
No, it's not about reading, it's about guidance. I don't do readings, I do consultations because you should know yourself. As good as the back of your hand, you should know yourself. I want everyone out there to be clear that this is to serve you like a GPS serves you. Remember, each of us has guaranteed ourselves success. Be that Magi family, be that magician, be that numerovational motivated force.